This is the Vision 79 podcast, where my friend Sander and myself, Mason, discuss recent developments in our business and personal growth. The name Vision 79 comes from our respective racing numbers. Sanders is 40, mine is 39, and we have similar ambition to progress in business and personal growth. Many successful people have started small, just like us, but very few of them have documented their early years. They often say they wish they had, and given we believe in learning lessons from others, we intend to be the first to document our journey from start to finish. This is simply a documentary of our lives, and as such, we do not monetize these videos, so enjoy the ad-free content. Each episode is broken down into 3 segments, each covering our progress over the past week. We start by discussing our life updates, then our business updates, and lastly, we share any lessons we've learned over the past week. So what is your life update this week?
My life update this week, because Google decided to sign me out between home and here.
Oh,
But I remember my life update at least. It's essentially work. Work was crazy this week. I did have 2 days off. I had Tuesday and Wednesday off.
PTO?
PTO.
Got it.
Mostly. I actually ended up working such long hours Thursday, Friday, Saturday that I didn't really take much PTO. But
Got it.
yeah, had those days off, but just work stuff, in general, dealing with general incompetence, and holdups. But outside of that, I actually had a really fun day today. Sammy got her official private pilot's license, like solo license, like official flying license.
Congrats.
Yeah, congratulations. And so initially I was really hesitant to go fly because given it, based on how I've seen her drive, I would not want to watch her fly, but I was wrong. Before.
That's good.
She actually flew really, really well. We did a flight today. I didn't know how late it was going to run. That's why. Thank you for shifting this schedule around a little bit. Just didn't want to be late to this, so gave extra buffer room.
Right.
But did about an hour and change long flight. Took off, flew over Valkyria down to Sebastian, then back up the riverway, and then landed in Melbourne. Nice landing. It was actually a really good landing.
Awesome.
And so, yeah, cool flight. It was interesting. It's like a little Cessna. And before you get above 800 or 1,000 feet, it is gusty and it moves you around.
Yeah.
But then once you we were cruising about 2,000, and so it was super smooth. Weather was gorgeous today. See as far as you want.
It hurricaned here for an hour.
Yeah, it started going
hour.
crazy an hour after we got home.
Yeah.
Which is why we wanted to
Good time
it.
Yeah.
But super fun. I wanted to notate some cool things real estate wise that I saw, which I thought you'd get a kick out of.
Sure.
I didn't realize there are actually occupied islands on the riverway.
There's one that you can only get to by boat.
There are several you can only get to by boat.
There's a big one called VIP Island down by Sebastian. That island is the southernmost line of Brevard County.
There's others though with 1 or 2 houses on them, and they're very, very subtle. But there are other islands that aren't yet inhabited, but they have roadways around them.
Yep.
And so I thought that was super interesting because the roadways were built in just under the tree line. So you look at it from a boat and it's it's just all trees.
Yeah.
Well, you get up in the air and they're 25, 30 feet in, there's a whole roadway set up.
Well, people will go camping there, and so they'll walk around and do bonfires and stuff like that.
But that was really cool. Also, I did not realize how much land is completely underdeveloped, even beachside. Even beachside. There are areas that I have driven by for sure and have never noticed that they were completely barren.
Yeah.
And it's you get this one dirt road and then you get this mansion house with a friggin' concrete double dock and all this crazy stuff. And you're what the heck? I have no clue this was back here. And there's several of those properties that are oh, this is where the ballers are at.
You know what's crazy too? If you're a high profile person, you can keep your name off of the public record for that house. So colloquially, people are familiar that Jeff Bezos owns a house in this area somewhere. Some people have different guesses as to which house it is, but a lot of wealthy people keep their wealth in trusts and estates and shell companies and stuff like that, and then those companies own the properties, so
Yeah.
their name isn't associated with it. Um, and their holding companies have holding companies. Those holding companies have LLCs that buy the house, so it's like super protected. But even then, they'll build the houses like tucked way away, so you don't even know that the house is there,
Yeah.
unless you go on like Google Maps or like you fly, right?
Yeah. So that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It was fun listening to the radio comms.
Mhm.
Um, there was a emergency helicopter, like a hospital helicopter,
Yeah.
that like, came on the radio as we were like approaching our landing zone.
Mhm.
And so like we had to like sit in like just sit in formation and
Yeah.
eye it, which was really interesting. Like it was much lower tech than I anticipated. Like most of the flying, at least for like Cessna style stuff, is like look to your left, look to your right,
Yeah.
like spot plane, not spot plane. You know what I mean? Like it's stuff like that, which was really interesting. And it was cool because we got confirmation to land, and they were like, "Yeah, still confirm the land. Just keep an eye on the helicopter." And then it was just radio silence until we landed. Like they didn't like double check back about the helicopter
Yeah.
or double check that we were like still good to land. It was just like implied that like, yeah, once the helicopter lands, you land,
Yeah.
which was really interesting. Um, but it was cool to see like the other planes in the space and stuff like that. And watching like the little Garmin, like there's a little Garmin dial tracker.
What-
Or it was like a
Oh,
little
radar?
Garmin window for like tracking other planes in space. It's like a
Gotcha.
little window that you had, and then you had
Yep.
like another for like oil pressure, oil temperature, stuff
Mhm.
like that. So that was fun.
Mhm.
It was
Have
cool.
you ever seen so now you kind of have an understanding that like the small personal aircraft fly in like the 2 to 5,000 like airspace, right? And then like slightly above that, there's like a different category of plane, and then like passenger airliners are at like 30, 35, 40,000 feet, right? Um, F-15 Strike Eagles, when they take off, and most commercial jets like cruise up like this, and you'd like take a long time to get to your cruising altitude, like 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah,
F-15s point straight up. Actually,
yeah,
technically, F-15s produced so much thrust, and with their thrust vectoring, can be categorized as a rocket, not an airplane, because the wings are not required to generate lift. You can just
that's
point
wild.
the ass end down and it'll go up. The wings are only there so that you can have maneuverability once you're in flight. But when they take off, they don't always, but they can just like tilt straight up and
Mm,
go completely full vertical. And they just cut through all that commercial airspace at once and get up to their cruising altitude. And then they fly from there. Yeah. It's
wow.
super cool though. When you now that you have an understanding of like kind of the layers of the
Yeah.
rainforest, like you've got the underbrush and then the canopy and the troposphere, right? And like it just cuts through all that shit, like straight up above the canopy. It's really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. I had a lot of fun. Um, like going up in the plane, like I could definitely see how it would become like an easy addiction.
Oh, for sure.
Like
Yeah.
for sure.
Did you fly to Melbourne?
Yeah, flew out of Melbourne
Yeah.
and then over Valkyria and Sebastian and then back
Yeah.
landed in Melbourne.
I mean, you've seen the E2s and the
Yeah, yeah.
T-56s and stuff fly out of there too. Um, And then there's always like the big cargo planes from Patrick that are out there, but you can't get too close to Patrick. But still, they'll
Yeah.
do laps over like the whole area
Mhm.
in flight testing, and you could be like up in the air at the same time as them.
Yeah,
And, like,
yeah.
dude, those things are way bigger when you're in a plane near them rather than like on the ground, and you're like, that's flying kind of like close. It's kind of low. When you're in the plane, you're like, fuck, dude, that's huge. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So it was really cool. I had a lot of
Mhm,
fun doing that.
mhm.
Those are about my only lifestyle updates.
Cool.
Just crazy work schedule.
Yeah,
And did a little flying this morning, Sammy, which was a lot of fun. So
sweet. D.
that's what I got for life.
I think getting a pilot's license is one of those things where it's like, oh, when I retire, that's
Mm,
something that would be fun to do, right? Like
yeah,
when I have way more time to like have idle hands, getting a pilot's
yeah.
license, one of those
I
things.
took like this was the first time that I really got the like, oh, this is why like ultra wealthy people would just fly. Cause it's
Oh,
like there was some like luxury jets in the hangar that someone was cleaning, and I was like, oh, I fucking get it now.
yeah.
You look at those things, it was like just baller, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, damn. And
The
like,
Cessna is like riding the bike that I saw yesterday in your garage around, and then like the PJs are like Rolls Royces.
yeah,
So comfortable.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
So cool.
it was so cool to be up there and be like, oh no, like this is our plane. We can just go.
Yeah. Well, it's also really cool. It's like forced perspective. You know how astronauts are always Like they're like, oh, we feel like a stronger bond with the human race after you see Earth from orbit because you realize that everything's so small. Seeing our county from that perspective is super interesting always,
Yeah.
right? Um, but especially helpful. There was actually a girl that I heard about on a podcast. She wrote off a $20 million yacht on her taxes as a
Mm.
business expense because she shows her clients real estate property from the yacht. And the IRS was like, "What are you talking about?" And so she has photos with like Shaq and like Kanye, and she's showing them properties from the boat, and the IRS is like, "Fuck, okay." And she was like, "The houses look different from the water, but it's important for people because they spend so much time on boats." And they were like, "Shit, dude, okay, sounds good." And like she got greenlit.
Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was really cool.
Mhm.
Those are my only lifestyle updates.
Cool. I've got a couple like small ones. My first one is that the AI voice spam calls are getting uncanny.
I don't pick up any call I don't recognize. Ever.
I don't pick up, but I have been getting voicemails recently, and it's
I
like
don't listen to the voicemails either.
I well, I listen to the voicemails because they might be clients.
Yeah.
And
If I don't have your contact in my phone, I will not pick up, and I will not know you called me.
that's how it used to be for me. But now I have
Oh,
clients or
true.
people responding to ads, right? And so if it says spam risk, I just let it go to voicemail. If it's a client, then like they'll leave a voicemail. But the spam risk people have been leaving voicemails, and holy fuck, dude, they sound so realistic. It's like, hey Mason, this is Daniel from like whatever company in Orlando. I'm reaching out to you because we have an urgent legal notice to be, you're being served lawsuit papers and you have to respond by this date. Go to our website at da 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 whatever. Like it sounds 100% real. They use very real sounding company names and stuff like that. And I know it's AI because they would have to hire someone that speaks like you or me, right? But there's like tiny little blips
Yeah.
that like I can pick
Give
up.
it a year, and we won't be able to tell
Dude,
at all anymore.
I mean, I had to listen to it 3 times and then go, hang on, like, is it? And then I had to look up the company, and the company like wasn't really was amalgamous, right? And then I went back and listened, and then I heard the blips, but like they're getting close, dude.
Yeah. It's scary.
Scary. Apparently, I had seen a TikTok. There are some that are trying to get you. They are trying to get you to repeat your social security number back to them. So you pick up the phone and they introduce themselves and they go, "Hey, confirm for us this is your security number." And they give you your social security number. And then they want you to read it back to them. So they have audio recording of your voice doing it so they can make fake AI voices of you saying your social security number to go withdraw money. That's wild.
Wow.
It's wild. But I wanted to make a note of it because I know in a year this is going to be like, fuck, dude, if you're 80 years old today, you stand no chance. You're not gonna have any money a year from now. Because like it's impossible to tell if you didn't grow up with this stuff, right? Or if your hearing's not good
Oh,
anymore.
yeah.
So
Imagine what's going to be out there when we're 80 and we're not going to fucking understand it all.
I'm not making a tade, dude. I'm gonna be robbed by an AI.
Hopefully, when I'm 80, I have enough money to hire a 20-year-old to figure it out for me.
I mean, honestly, yeah. If you're so one of my business revelations I had last night is about VA loans, and I feel a strong connection to helping veterans, and so I think that might be a direction that I take the real estate business. But another huge part of it is you can help older people in so many ways other than just real estate,
Oh, yeah.
right? And one of them being, hey, be on the lookout for this new spam call, right? If you see a QR code taped on a door somewhere, don't always scan it because they can steal your information, right? Like that's stuff old people aren't going to know if they're not on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to introduce any 80-year-olds to TikTok. They don't need that shit, but they should know.
TikTok is a dangerous place if you don't know what you're doing.
Even if you do know what you're doing, it's
True.
fucked.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was my first update. The second update is the Powerball I told you yesterday
Oh, yeah.
got up to $1 billion, right? So I told you about the prize ranking, right? If you get all of them, you get the whole 80 million or 800 million, 1 billion now. And if you get like 4 or 5 of the numbers, you get like a million or like 500,000 or something like that, right? So how many people last night do you think won the total jackpot of $1 billion?
0.
No one won. How many people won $1 million or $2 million?
4.
7.
Okay, close.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
One of them was in Florida. It wasn't me. But-
Because I've seen this year after year. When it hits $1 billion, the first drawing after $1 billion, no one ever wins, and usually the second drawing, no one wins. It's usually the third or fourth that someone will finally win because they have what I think is they have a promotion timeline for the $1 billion, and they run a completely different set of ads and marketing around the $1 billion. and they need time for those ads to collect the amount of people that they want before they finally give out the prize. Like I'm pretty sure it's very calculated.
I don't know, because I know that the drawing
But I think everything's a scam, so it's
well, the drawing is completely random, right?
yeah. Well, like maybe.
Legally. I mean, they've been all
But it's run by the government. Like they make the legality. That's my thing of it. Is I think it's more I think that there's a lot of like cards at play, and I think that they have a very specific strategy to how they go through this. I believe that the drawing when it is actually won is random in a sense, but I don't believe that the calculation is completely random to get to that point. I think there are actually people who genuinely get scammed out of it along the way.
I don't know. I think it's I feel like it's completely randomized to the fact that like the likelihood that all 6 of your numbers match exactly is super small. And so the last winner, it reset. Every time it resets, so like let's say someone won 1 billion yesterday, right? It resets at 20 million annuity. So base level it's 10 million, right? So if someone won yesterday and the next drawing is Monday, you could win $10 million, right? But think about it this way. No one's going to play right after the $1 billion jackpot goes, right? Because
Yeah.
it's not a billion, so who cares? There's some people that are like, oh, I have a better chance, right? But you don't have a better chance. You have the same chance as everybody else. But think about it this way. If 10% the amount of people play for Monday's drawing as normal, right? That means that there's 10 times fewer tickets printed, meaning it's far less likely that there's a winning ticket out there because there are less number combinations that have been printed in that 2-day period of time, right? But now that the billion is being played and everyone's buying tickets, there's way more number combinations being printed, making it more likely for there to be a winning ticket out there, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyways, I thought it was interesting because I started to learn about like how the lottery system actually works. And all of the money goes to the government if you don't claim your prize. And even if you do claim your prize, you pay income tax on it, right? Not long or short-term capital gains tax, but income tax. And that was super interesting to me. If you don't claim it, it all goes to the education department in the government, which is cool. But it's been coming up in my TikTok reels more and more, and the rationale that people have around the lottery is completely captivating to me. And the difference between the different lotteries, the Powerball and the Mega Millions, and the way that their marketing strategies differ is super interesting too, because they're both 6-number, one special number lottery systems, right? Powerball tickets are $2. Mega Millions tickets are $5. Powerball, you can get like a super power play for an extra $1 a ticket. For Mega Millions, it's also just $1 a ticket, but now you're paying $3 for a ticket versus $6 for a ticket. And so like the way that people buy completely changes based on the jackpot. But the Mega Millions has a much larger minimum jackpot win, right?
Yeah.
And the way that they market it is like super, super interesting to me. And I love like the philosophy behind it and the way that people are like, I'm going to spend like $5,000 on, dude, there are people that spend like $5,000 on lottery
Oh,
tickets,
yeah.
which is wild.
I mean, there are people who have minimum wage jobs who buy one after work every single day, and they do that for 40 years.
Yeah.
How much money is that?
I don't know. Well, okay.
Lot.
$2 a day every day for 30 days is $60. So $60 a month, right?
Yeah, $60 a month times
Right.
12 would be 720 times 40. So what's 720 7,200 times 4 essentially would be 14,400, so 28,800. $28,000 over the course of their life that they spend just buying a $2 lottery ticket every day
Yeah.
for 40 years.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, so on the one hand, you're like, okay, people buy lottery tickets every day. But on the other hand, it's like that advertising and marketing power is so important that it is behind the jurisdiction of the government. Like illegal lotteries exist. If it's not the government doing it, then it's not allowed for it to be done. Even if the government audits it, even if the government has control over your lottery, you still can't run it.
Yeah.
It's that powerful that it's locked away behind the government. And I think that's super interesting.
Yeah.
So anyways, no one won the Powerball. It's going to go up to like probably like 1.2, 1.3 billion. And then the larger it gets, the more people play, the higher the jackpot gets, right?
Yeah.
Super cool. My next life update, I started listening to more of James pardon me, James Sexton, the divorce lawyer. Have you seen his stuff? He is a divorce lawyer in New York who handles high profile divorce cases. So like dudes worth billions and then
Okay.
wives who want half, right? And he's got like some really interesting outlooks on what makes successful relationships, what is an indicator of a not successful relationship, why you should or shouldn't get married, and if you should or shouldn't get a prenup, right? Super cool stuff. He's been blowing up lately because Taylor Swift got engaged, and he is like, "Hey, I will do your prenup for free. Please come talk to me. This is important, right?" Because Taylor Swift has like, I don't know, probably billions, lots, right? Um, and like she could lose half of it if she gets married without a prenup, right? So his stuff has been getting really popular lately, and I like listening to this stuff. So I've been listening to more of it, right? But what I found as I was listening to it, Grace like hears it in the background, like while I play it on stuff, and she was like, "Why are you listening? Like this stuff is a downer. Like he's talking about relationships that don't work. Like why do you listen to it?" And I was like, Charlie Munger has a philosophy that Alex Ramosi preaches like constantly, which is if you're going to build a successful business, don't define what would make a good business, define what would absolutely destroy your business and then do the polar opposite, right? So if I wanted to build if I wanted to build a non-successful business, I would make sure that no one knows about it. Okay, so then advertising is important, right? And then you do
Yeah.
the opposite. And so from his stuff, you can apply, or I apply to the same logic to this is what makes relationships not work. So as long as you do the opposite, and you have a successful relationship. I thought that was super interesting. And my last life update is it's been 20 days since I learned about the existence of the Lexus LC500. I got in touch with the sales manager at Lexus of Melbourne, and they have stopped doing the special orders on the LC500 because it's taking too long to manufacture them.
Hmm.
So you can no longer like custom request like your spec. And so my follow-on question to that, it's a long weekend, so I'm not going to write it back today. But my follow-on question to that is you can do a bespoke build, which basically means you pick everything, and that's different from a special orders. And like, what does the bespoke thing work? Like, how does that work? And then also, if it's taking a long time to build these cars, do I do like a $500 down payment? And then like, how long does it take to build the car? Anyways, I saw one for like half a second at my open house in Satellite Beach last week. And it was really
Oh yeah.
cool.
Yep.
So yeah, that's my life update. It's everything.
Cool.
What's your
Very
business
nice.
update?
Business update is good. So I started running an A/B test on my website. So splitting between my standard site and kind of a legacy oriented, like create lasting memory style of framework and targeting. Um, as of right now, it's still very early stages, but the average order value is higher for the legacy website.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Conversion rates are similar, and the add to cart rate is a little bit lower for the legacy side, but the abandoned checkout rate is much lower. So it's essentially like more targeted people who are more passionate to spend more money, and there's
Mm-hmm.
fewer of those people, but overall it's resulting in actually higher volume of sales and higher profit.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of interesting.
Right.
But, I'm still running that, that'll be in the background for probably about a month.
Mm-hmm.
And so no conclusions right now. I'm just happy that it looks to at least work semi decently because I don't know if I was actually exactly prepared to like kill 50% of my sales for a month.
Right.
So I'm happy that at least there's some targeting in there that works.
Right.
Now, additionally to that, um, I had like a Hormozy style workshop to do with it was going to be a lot about like the AI program. It actually ended up being very, very little about the AI program because the AI program is very straightforward.
Mm.
And then 80% of it was about how to find the constraint in your business with applied examples and framework breakdown.
Right.
Very interesting. I just got the recording, so um, will be good to rewatch and gain value from that. Um, and then on Wednesday, I got invited out to an event in Fort Lauderdale.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pre Vault 25 Patrick Bet David event at the headquarters in Fort Lauderdale. It's right by the airport there. Very cool venue. Got a tour of the facility itself just on the ground floor. They have a very like structured way of breaking people apart. Like you got guys that are spending 16K on the event, like at the CEO level, and they get like a whole another tour,
Got it.
right? And like so they got like a very structured breakdown of like who gets to go where.
Right.
But walking into the main venue room, first person I bumped into was a hedge fund manager. And
Mhm.
this kid was like, he wasn't a kid. Guy was in his he was like in his 40s.
Gotcha.
And I was like, "Oh, like, I was asking him, I was like, "How'd you get into that?" And he was like, "Oh, like, I was just born into it, and I've just done it my whole life." And I was like, "Cool. I have a good one, but I don't know, like, if you'd be able to help me with my paid advertising." So it's just funny, you get a really big mix of people. It was cool though. When you walked in, first car on the right hand side, Ayrton Senna's actual Formula One car in the Marlboro livery.
Which year?
I
Is it a
don't
McLaren?
recall. Yeah, the McLaren.
Well, there could have only been like 5 of them.
I think it was like 4 or 5 years they raced for McLaren. It was one of
That's
them.
crazy.
Yeah, first car on the right hand, like his actual car.
This is just in their headquarters?
Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
I think
Dope.
I think a lot of this stuff was kind of brought in though. I don't know if it's
Wasn't it?
there all the time,
Is
but
this public knowledge? Can I look this up?
I assume it would be. I mean, they allowed you to have phones and take pictures, so I don't know why it wouldn't be public knowledge.
1988, Ayrton Senna
There you go.
MP44. I think this was the V10. Or was that 89? 89. No, 89 was the V6. So this was the V10. Damn, dude.
First car when you walked in on the right. So that was
Gorgeous.
really cool. They also had a all blue carbon Wyra there, which was wild to see. All blue carbon Wyra. They had a Lambo, and I'm so bad with the modern cars. I don't think it was a Revuelto, but it was something along those lines.
It wasn't in like an SPJ or
No, no, no.
leave me with
It was like new.
I'm also bad with
I'll show you a couple pictures. I didn't
It
take
was-
that many pictures, but they had a silver SP3 there.
this car.
Yeah, they had a Rolls Royce Rife or Rafe.
Oh, Rofe? Yeah.
Whatever, however you pronounce it.
Yeah.
And then one of the cooler cars for me, a 488 GT3 car.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so that was neat. And a couple other things as well.
Okay,
Patrick Bet David, if everyone was curious, drives a. Do you want to guess?
hang on, I will.
Yeah.
So the 88 car was the V6 turbo. The 89 car was the V10.
Okay, got it.
Honda V10. But this is the one that I have a Lego set of in
Oh,
my
cool.
office.
Yeah.
Still a historical car. Actually, he didn't win with the V10 because that was the year that they crashed in Suzuka. Him and Prost. So he won in this car. So this was his championship winning.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah, he's got a video on his Facebook here of it happening. Okay, so I'm going to guess what he daily drives.
Well, I don't know if it's daily driver. I'm sure he has multiple cars.
Sure.
But it was really funny to see this particular car because I was like, I get why he has that.
Man, dude.
It's simpler than you think.
I'm gonna guess Jeep Grand Cherokee.
No.
Okay.
He's
He's a
not.
car guy.
It's not.
It's a nicer
Yeah.
car.
Yeah. No, it's a nice sports car.
BMW something. Mercedes?
Nope.
Is it German?
Yep.
So it's an Audi.
Nope.
It's a Volkswagen. It's a Porsche. Got it. I can't believe I forgot about it.
Porsche 911 Turbo S.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so bland.
It's not that fun. I don't know. Those
If
cars
you're
are
next
mean.
to a Huayra, I mean, I was expecting something like a little bit more rare, but I guess if it's a daily driver,
I don't know if it's a daily driver, but
or close.
really nice
Exactly.
911 Turbo S.
Awesome.
Which was cool. And I assume
I
that
was
relatively
okay. I say it's
but-
bland because I have Huayra here, and then my expectation of Jeep Cherokee here.
Oh,
So
yeah.
on that spectrum, I was expecting, okay, it's like a Mercedes AMG or like a Ferrari something, or it's like a Prius, right? And
Yeah.
so like Porsche is like so close to the middle of that spectrum that I was like, oh, if it was like a sports car, I thought it would be like something super crazy. But
yeah.
if it is your daily driver or not his, I see.
It's more subtle. It was cool though. I was like, oh, it's the kind of like class high performance car that's fitting.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But what else? It was a really neat event. And I had some discussions with someone there in regards to advertising.
Yeah.
And they had some really interesting thoughts in regards to structuring advertising as well as like general approach.
Mhm.
And they had a very like niched down approach in terms of audiences, and in terms of scaling that really broke down like what you want, like the types of ads you want to see, you want specific people to see, and then that specific path that those people go on. And the way she was talking about it was more broad strokes. But she, there was a segmented aspect to it that was really different from how I currently run my campaign strategies under like just general broad CBO campaign. And so after my conversation with her, I started digging into a little bit how Hermosi runs ads, and started listening to like all the lectures I could find with Hermosi and how he runs them. And he has a very targeted audience based approach that he segments out. And Hermosi, she talked about this, and Hermosi talks about this some. And I've seen other people talk about it, but when they do this segmented approach, the ROAS can be much higher, like 5 or 7.
That's a
return on ad spend. Yeah, but the ads will burn out fast because essentially what you
Because, well, if they're so targeted, you exhaust your target audience.
right, because your target audience may be fed from like previous customers or current customers or whatever, right?
Right.
And so you burn through that audience quick, but your return on ad spend is super high. And so your creative volume, in order to keep up, creative being your ad volume, in order to keep up with that audience as it grows and continue to get a good return on ad spend, has to be extremely high.
Right.
Whereas when you're running a general CBO campaign like I'm doing, your ROAS might suffer a little bit,
Right.
but Facebook is always finding new people,
Right.
right? And so it's a little bit of a different flavor of each side. Now, I started looking into this because I started to have a lot of questions in terms of the CBO campaign that I'm running, because a lot of my ads have sucked.
What's CBO one more time?
Campaign-based optimization is when it's what CBO campaigns are essentially a big old umbrella over a huge audience, and then Facebook algorithm does the rest.
Got it. Okay.
And
So
so
Facebook targets the audience, not the ad. Targets the audience.
Facebook figures out who the ad works for and then targets those people.
Won't Facebook do that for every campaign?
Yeah, but it's like there's different algorithm programs depending on how you set up the campaign.
Okay.
You can niche down the campaign essentially to force Facebook to spend on like you can niche it down so much that you're forcing Facebook to spend on like exact people, like individual names and emails.
This is where you select your audience.
Yeah, and then you can do like suggested. You can do you turn off suggested, so it's only those people, like only those people. And then there's also setups where you can have an email marketing software set up in the background, which is something else I did this week. Set up a better email marketing software, Klaviyo, through Shopify, and essentially you can integrate that email marketing software into your Facebook account, and then that the contacts from your email marketing software can feed into a specific audience that you assign within Facebook, and then that audience can be assigned to a certain campaign or ad set in order to give information to where that ad should be targeted.
Got it. Okay.
But it was really interesting because the ads, once you niche them down like that, they seem to burn up faster.
Right.
But I started to have some really big questions when it came to the broad CBO campaign, which is what I'm currently running, like the big umbrella.
So you started to have questions about your current campaign.
Yeah, the effectivity of it. Because I was looking back on my ads, and a lot of them not that great. A lot of them. But there was some of them in there that I was like, this like really should have converted someone. And there was some in there that actually did convert people, even at extremely low spends.
So if you got more spend,
then
you might get more conversions.
But then Facebook would like peter it out and like just go back to the winning ad. And the argument from the umbrella CBO side is that, well, then Facebook has determined that that ad is not scalable, and therefore it's not going to give it more spend.
The all-omnipotent, all-controlling Facebook.
Right. And I'm like, okay, fair point. The algorithm's probably pretty damn smart, right? But this is where the real problems come in for me, is that the current ad I have is targeting an avatar with a set of desires and benefits that Facebook has found to work best for that ad in connection to the product page that I have.
Right.
And so now, if that ad is targeting, middle-aged moms to like younger grandmothers, and I want to have an ad that's directly targeted towards younger mothers, I might have a killer ad in there. But if the account has optimized over the past 3 months to target, late older mothers and grandmothers,
Right.
then that ad, like, I don't have the confidence that Facebook is going to switch up its 3 months of optimization to give this other ad set a chance.
Right.
And then additionally, I have questions about, well, what if, like, I've been told in the past to run different ad accounts for different products. And I'm like, okay, potentially, right? Because they might be targeted to different audiences, right? There's a part of me that questions, why can't I just run separate campaigns under the same ad account, right? But I'm like, okay, let's go with that, right? Now, why don't I run separate campaigns or ad sets? Or why don't I run separate campaigns catered to specifically different audiences? Because I have multiple different ad sets with different audiences I'm trying to target, and Facebook has optimized this campaign to one specific audience,
Right.
right? Like, how do I know that it's giving a fair shot to those ads, right? And this is where it came in really interesting, as I was having a version of this conversation with the person down at the Pre-Vault conference.
The marketing
Yeah,
director,
hey, yeah,
ad,
yeah,
ad lady.
yeah, ad lady. I want to keep her like relatively anonymous, but
Okay.
um, I was talking with her about it, and she mentioned how I was talking to her. Sorry, I was talking to her about the spend, and I was like, "How do I know that an ad is really a failure after $1 or 2 of spend over the course of 3 days?" And she was like, "You don't." And she was like, "You have to run a minimum budget on that ad set for a set number of days in order to determine whether that ad set is good."
Makes sense.
And I was like, "Thank you, makes sense, right?" And I was like I have been trying to say a version of this with like different puzzle pieces, and it's like, no, there's been no one on the receiving end that like gives a shit about the opinion that I have, because I've been in this only for so long, right? And so I get that. I get that, right?
I don't.
Yeah, but
I get.
you're not one of those people. I'm talking about like the
No,
high
I'm
level
saying.
folk.
I'm saying if you, I put yourself in this person's perspective, right? If your success is due to quote the algorithm, why would you listen to questions opposing that philosophy?
Yeah, fair point.
Because you can't explain it, because you don't know, because they don't know how they
Yeah, because the algorithm just works.
right. And so why bother asking those questions? Stick to the script because it works. But you don't want to
Which
stick
is
to the
like
script.
cool.
You want to
if
figure
it
out why.
works.
But that's the thing. It's like I don't want to know. I don't want to know how. I want to know why.
Yeah,
Right.
and like
That's fair.
I'm even cool with not knowing why if I have confidence that it will work.
Right.
That's the thing, is that I don't have confidence that this algorithm will give the, because I told her, I was like, I've made like 150 unique ads at this point. And she was like, you have plenty of ads. She was like, one of those, she was like, at least a few of those have to be decent.
Hmm.
And I was like, I agree with you. Like
Yeah.
something in there should have been decent. And listening to Hormozy talk, like when he suggests to these big brands to start running advertisements, he's like, yeah, create 10 ads, and then one of those will have like a 3, 4, or 5 return on ad spend, and then you can just kind of iterate from there. I'm like, brother, I wish I created 10 ads and got one. I've created 150 and got none.
Yeah. Well, this is like if I went door knocking for real estate and the first 2 doors I knocked on didn't get an answer. I was like, oh, door knocking doesn't work as a real estate
Right.
technique. It's like,
Right.
no, you fucking didn't knock on any doors, right?
Yeah, but it's like, for me, it's like, if I knocked on 200 doors in real estate
Right.
and didn't even get one person that was interested in potentially working with me later,
Right.
like, that's the equivalent that I've hit with the ads I've created.
Right.
And it's like, if I knock on 200 doors, I'd figure at least
Oh.
someone, like these are catered leads, right? These aren't just like,
No, what I'm saying is you're making an ad and Facebook is only giving it like $3 of spend.
right.
And so that's equivalent of only knocking on 2 doors and
Exactly.
doing
Yes,
this.
yes, yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was like, "Oh yeah, you have to have minimum ad set budgets that you run, and you have to be okay with burning that money if it doesn't work, because you cannot get usable data under that point."
Right.
And she was like, "Figure out your cost per acquisition that you want to hit," which for me is like, I'd really like to be about 24 to 28, right? And so I'll figure out what I want to do. But she was like, two times the cost per acquisition, run that as the ad set budget for a minimum of 3 days. And I was like, so I burn $50 a day for 3 days to actually get usable data back on something like that. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Like that feels about right.
Small jump from that to $2 a day every day for Powerball. I'm joking. I'm
Yeah,
messing with you.
But it's like, it was like, it started to click for me. It was like, no, like, and so I've been told time and time again, like the campaign structure isn't worth looking into. Just keep making ads and try to find a winner that outspends your current winner. And I'm like, cool. I don't have a problem making volumes of ads that don't work. I don't have an issue with it. I have an issue with making volumes of ads that don't work that could easily be due to the fact that my campaign structure isn't allowing them to work.
It's biased.
Right, because it's biased to benefits, to avatar, to desires,
Right.
to that specific advertisement itself, to the specific types of audience that that advertisement caters to.
Right.
And they're like, essentially, it would be like if you put out 10 ads at first and one of them was a hit,
Right.
and then that one ad niched down your market until the end of time. Like that's kind of how it is.
This
right?
is like saying that Max Verstappen is a waste of a driver because he didn't beat Daniel Ricciardo in his first year of Formula One and he crashed a bunch, right?
Right.
Which is like, well, you're not giving him enough time or budget in Facebook's case to like actually see what it could develop into.
Yeah, yeah. And so like that was really interesting for me. And so I started looking into a lot more about like what is this retargeting stuff? What are these different audiences that you can use? What are what are the different email structuring that you can use? Because I was listening to more Hermosi stuff and I stumbled on some email marketing stuff that he has that's relatively recent. And he was talking about like email marketing has a 35 to 45 ROAS, which is huge because
Well,
it's so
you don't spend
cheap
any
to
money.
send
Yeah.
emails,
Right.
and you're already sending them to warm audiences that have said they're interested in your product or brand because that's how you're collecting the emails.
Right.
And so it's like it's such a easy lever to pull. Um, and so I've been looking at that stuff and trying to and figuring out a structure for it, and I'm digging into it more and more. I don't have a fully formed idea yet, but it is really I'm at a real loss. I have a lot of gaps in my understanding about why just a general umbrella campaign and then banking on the algorithm is the best approach. Given that we separate out products, right? So why are we not separating out avatars that we test or personas that we test?
Right.
Why are we not separating out styles of ads? Why are they all run under this one umbrella? But then, like, as soon as you introduce another product in the same niche, it's like, oh no, you got to separate it, right? I'm
Right.
like, either this stuff is like, either it's segmented out in some effective way, or it's like broadened completely, or it's like segment. Like, there's so many variations, and I need to understand how to run this stuff as best I can to give the ads that I'm creating the best shot. Because otherwise, I'm not just like at this point, like I'd rather burn a little bit of money on like the top 10 best performers I've had out of the last 150,
Right.
burn a little bit of money retesting them under a targeted strategy
Mhm.
than to just like keep pumping out ads and having faith in the algorithm.
It seems indicative to me of someone who just doesn't understand. It's like early technology. It's like it's when something is so new and you don't quite understand how it works, but you know that if you give input X, then you get output Y most of the time, then you don't have to worry about like how the chemical reaction in the combustion chamber works because you know that when you
Yeah.
mix gas and air, then big boom goes make car fast, right? So
Which is like cool, but if I want to make the car faster, I got to understand something about it.
yeah, and to you, the answer would be understanding the Facebook algorithm, which you can't do, and neither can any of the people in your community, right? So if I can't understand the Facebook algorithm, then I'm just going to volume ads at it until it finds something that it likes, right?
Yeah.
But the opposing perspective, I'm translating for myself and the audience, is you want to better understand, well, how can I influence the inputs that I give Facebook so that I can show it that
Yeah.
it has blinders on to my current winning ad.
Right, right. I want to reduce the blinders,
Right.
right? And so that's something that I've been looking into a little bit this week because I really passionately do not think that the current winning ad I have is the best ad you could create for all of time.
Right.
I very passionately feel about that. I don't think I've created the best ad of all time, but I think I've created ads that could perform at a comparable level.
Right.
And I've gotten the most I've ever gotten is 5 something percent of the total campaign budget on
Mm.
any given ad that I've put out,
Right.
which is tiny.
Right.
Like, out of $400 a day spend, that'll be $20,
Right.
which is still $20 in a day is still not even enough to hit one
You need
customer
20.
that would actually buy. Because 28 is like the 24 to 28 is like the good days I have.
Right.
Right? Like, on a medium day, my cost per acquisition will be like 32,
Right.
right? And because my average order
Well,
value is 70.
right.
So then,
And there's no guarantee that's in your first $32 of spend. That's an average. So it might take $50 in spend to get your first purchase, and then from then it's only
Right.
$15 and you get your second spend, and averages out to 30.
Yeah, but if over the course of a week I spend $7, how the fuck is it gonna do anything?
Exactly.
And so that's something that I've been really kind of looking into a little bit more, and understanding, because I also, in all the research, I stumbled on someone who's also run a ton of advertising. And he was talking about how a lot of the customers that come to him hit a wall around like $500 or $1,000, which is about the wall I'm hitting right now, where they just can't scale up. And as soon as he reforms the structure of the ad account and changes out the structuring and the targeting within the ad accounts in order to allow newer ads the potential to scale up, as well as older ads to continue growing, like, he 2, 3, 4x's the business,
Mm.
like, within the matter of 30 days.
Okay.
And so it's like he talks about that, and, like, um lots of people make promises on the internet, so take it with a grain of salt. But given the fact that I was talking to someone who has a lot of expertise in this field, who's like big in this, and Hermosi talking about retargeting, and other big names talking about retargeting, there's like an equal volume of people who talk about retargeting as there is a volume of people who just are like, run a traditional campaign based umbrella strategy and just like continue to crank ads, right? And I think there's pros and cons to some extent, right? The umbrella strategy, the targeted ad sets with targeting and retargeting based on email marketing, by and large, I've seen those ads and the people who run it that way, their ads burn out a lot faster.
Mhm.
Like, they'll burn out within the matter of like anywhere from days to months, right?
Mhm.
Um, and so with the CBO strategy, like, there have been cases where the same ad can continue to convert for years.
Right. Well, and also think about it this way. For a brand new drop shipping business, your biggest constraint is that you have no ads. So it's good to give a new person the advice of follow the CBO,
Yeah,
CBO process and just crank a shitload of ads, right? But eventually, like this lady was saying to you, you have enough ads. One of them is going to be fine, right? And that's maybe when you need to like throttle back on making new ads, because now you have to figure out how to make your ads work,
right.
right?
And a lot of this research that I'm having also stems from the fact that I got a lot of the Hermosi content in the mail, and he has different like hooks and frameworks that you can use and stuff like that. And I'm looking at all of these, and I'm like, I've targeted some of these, and I've hit some of these decently. But also, am I really about to create 50 ads and then throw them all in a CBO campaign and like teach Facebook that, like, oh, these ads suck too,
Right.
right? Like, that's what I'm concerned about. And so it's like I'm at the point where I'm like putting in a lot of time, money, and effort into making better and better ads, but I haven't changed the framework that I run them in at all.
Right. Because
And
Facebook's
so,
wondering them.
right, but it's like I need to know that the framework is at least decent enough to allow the potential to exist. And right now I don't have confidence in that. So that's kind of where I've sat with that. But that's pretty much been my business update. Email marketing, researching into ad structures, trying to understand that stuff. The Hermosi event, the event in Fort Lauderdale, um, and getting into it. I'll get more into it tonight and tomorrow.
Mhm.
I have the day off for Labor Day tomorrow, so that'll be convenient.
Must be nice.
Yeah, it is nice. I worked Saturday though, so it's gonna be a little
A Hormozism. Just teasing.
yeah. But yes, it is nice.
Right.
Um, but that's about what I got from a business update.
Awesome.
What do you
Sounds
got?
productive. Okay, mine's a mixed bag. We're gonna start with clients, then we're gonna go to advertising lead gen, and then we're gonna go to miscellaneous. Okay. Starting off with clients, as you'll recall where we left off last time, my out-of-state clients that are looking to move to Florida, we are ready to put an offer down on one of the houses we looked at a few months ago, right? They had mentioned that the they were like, "Oh, like it's not a good deal." And I was like, "Well, with where our market is at right now, a lot of homes are selling for 8% below the original list price. We've been writing offers closer to 12% low, which is fine to start, but then these people have been meeting us at like 8 or 10% low, but we're not moving up from 12. So, we either need to make more compelling original offers and then set that as our best, last, and final, or come up on what our original thing was." And so, they agreed, and we revisited one of the houses that we were previously looking at to write offers on, right? So this house that we're looking at was listed at 265,000, which is already below the 8% below the like the average, like what we would expect it to sell for based on the original list price, right? Now, you can argue about whether they listed it high or not, which would influence where this is at. But generally speaking, I would expect this $265,000 house to sell at 275,000, right? Not only that, they are accepting conventional loans, meaning they are understanding that in order for someone to get a loan, the house needs a new roof, and they are expecting to put a new roof on the house, right? Now, from my position representing a buyer, I would say you're already accepting conventional loans, so that's not a negotiating chip for you. You're not doing anything for me because you're accepting these loans. I'm not talking you into accepting my loan, right? You're saying that you're already accepting it, meaning that you're not doing me any favors. So you can't say, "Oh, come up from your original price because of this roof," right? So we wrote an offer at 260 plus a new roof, understandable, right? Plus a new garage door. And that covers that like $5,000 delta, right? Very reasonable offer. Super happy that my clients decided to go with this offer, right? And they countered to us with 270 and a new roof and new garage. And I'm like, how did this happen? What are you talking about? A, garage doors are not $5,000. You can get a brand new garage door perfectly fine, sealed for $3,200. So why are you coming up $5,000, right? This doesn't make any sense. It's not about the garage door. It's about getting the house for a better deal. What are you talking about? Also, you aren't doing me any favors by putting a roof on, right? So you can't use that as a bargaining chip. And the listing agent was trying to use it that way. In all fairness, he's trying to do his job as a listing agent, right? I just do a better job as a buying agent. So, our clients denied that offer, as I felt they should, because I don't think it's very reasonable, right? And so then we counter offered with, okay, 265, the listing price, plus a new roof, which is, you know, should be coming along with the house anyways, and a new garage door. So we said 260, they said 270. We'll meet you in the middle at your asking price with a new roof and garage door. And the sellers denied that. And so our clients were like, okay, we're going to go look for another property. And totally get that, totally understand, right? So they start looking at new properties, still in Brevard. They happen to find one, right? And they were like, hey, can you? They're out of state again, so we're doing this all remote. Grace and I are their eyes and ears, and they send us this house, and they're like, hey, can you get us information on this house? Absolutely. Pull it up on the MLS, pull it up on IMAP and BigPal, and I start to run through everything, right? And I noticed that in the listing, there is a deadline at 6 p.m. on this day, right? It is 2:22 p.m. So the listing agent is taking all the offers they have on the property to their seller at 6 p.m. in 3.5 hours, right? So it's a tight timeline here,
Yeah.
right? Most agents would probably say, hey, I'm not going to have time to go do a virtual walkthrough for you. We just have to decide if we want to put an offer in sight unseen and then figure it out in the inspection period or not, right? But we're not those agents. We dropped everything, and Grace immediately drove to the property, and I got on the phone with the listing agent and stayed on my laptop. I confirmed that it has PVC pipes, not cast iron, because cast iron has a big issue with leaking. By 2:45, so 20 minutes from finding the property, Grace is at the property doing a virtual tour with our clients. By 3:22, we're talking offers. The sellers are not accepting VA offers, right? Understandable, because to get the VA association to back the loan, the house it has to pass stricter requirements than a conventional loan, right? Because the government is backing you on this loan. So if there's chipped paint or like a crack in the door frame, you have to pay to get that stuff fixed. And the sellers don't want to pay for that stuff in the inspection period. Totally understand. So we talked to our buyers and we're like, what do you think about this? And they said, well, if we offer over asking price as like an olive branch to say, hey, we understand that you might have to be on the hook for some of these repairs, so we're going to give you more than asking. Do you think they'd be amicable to that? No one is offering over asking price right now. It is a buyer's market through and through. Houses are sitting for a long time. Sellers are like desperate for buyers to give them offers so that they can get these houses gone, right? And so I'm like, I think so. That's a pretty compelling offer. We get on the phone with the listing agent. They're like, I don't know. And so then we start to talk like more specific numbers. And we kind of convince the listing agent to share it with the sellers. And the listing agent is like, okay, having talked all this stuff through, I think that this is probably a better offer than the other one we have on the table. So if you can write it up like in the next 2 hours, it's 4 p.m. right now. I'll show it to them at 6 p.m. I'm like, okay, awesome. Life is good. Tell our buyers that we got in on the VA loan. They're like, cool. 4:33 p.m. We have the offer written and sent to our buyers for signatures, right? And writing contracts takes some time. So the fact that we're doing all this in 2 hours is pretty quick, right? 4:43 p.m., we get confirmation from our buyers that they are waiting on an approval letter from their lender. Given the timeline, if we don't get the approval letter in time to submit the contract, that's okay. We can send a similar one and then send them the real one later. That's fine. We just need to get the offer in writing on the offer paper in front of the seller by 6 p.m. 5:26 p.m. Still waiting for signatures from our buyers. So we send them a text and we're like, hey, 30 minutes heads up. Like, we have to get this over to them because in real estate, like, you can present a verbal offer to your seller, but it's in poor practice. You should have a written contract with signatures. That is the way business should be done, right? 5:40 p.m. Still don't have anything from our buyers. So I shoot a message over to the listing agent and I say, hey, I don't know if we're going to have signatures by 6 p.m. We're definitely not going to have the pre-approval letter. Just like giving you a heads up. Listing agent was super cool. At 6 p.m., I'm like, hey, we don't have any signatures. Here are the conditions that are in the contract that we sent to our buyers. I think they're in a spot with bad service, but honestly, I don't know because they haven't gotten back to us. This whole time, they've seemed like really gung-ho about this house. They loved it during a virtual walkthrough. They were excited when writing the contract. They weren't sure it would be worth the time because they weren't sure if you guys would accept the VA, but we got that all figured out. So like, here are the terms, right? And the listing agent was like, okay, cool. I'll share it with my seller. I'm like, awesome. 6:02 p.m., I get a text from the buyer. Oh, yeah, sorry, I got busy. I think we'll just push into a different house. Okay. Maybe they think that the VA loan isn't going to be accepted, right? That's fine. But the listing agent said that they were going to share verbally with their client. So maybe our buyers are just discouraged because they don't think they have as compelling of an offer. Okay, that's fine. 8:30 p.m., the listing agent asked me if we're going to send our contract, which is basically saying, hey, our seller really likes this offer. They would like to see it in writing to potentially accept it. And so I let them know, I'm like, hey, I think our clients went to sleep. We still don't have signatures. I'll let you know first thing in the morning, right? 8 a.m., the listing agent confirms that they went with the other offer, right? But she said, your terms are very appealing. They would accept a backup offer from you. So if we get our clients to sign that offer and then it's accepted by the seller, the offer they already went with goes under inspection. And if for any reason the buyer backs out, they don't put the house back on the market, our contract immediately kicks in, right? Awesome news, because not everyone's willing to accept a backup offer, right? Grace's first property, a $730,000 property, was on a backup offer. So these things work, right? So we let our clients know, hey, they're interested in this. They want to do a backup offer. This is real. Like, this isn't like it might not work. It might be a waste of time. This is a legit thing. And they declined the backup offer. They're like, yeah, I don't know. We got busy yesterday. Let's just look at something else. And so now I'm confused and I'm a little frustrated because I don't understand like what's going on. I don't know. Like, it was all pro house, pro house, pro house. And then when we sent the contract, they just disappeared for like 6 hours. So I don't understand if something happened or if they got busy or if they have a family emergency. I'm totally understanding of all those things. I just want to know so that I'm not sticking my neck out on the line to this listing agent and seller. Because if they turn down the other offer in favor of ours that wasn't signed and sent over to them, they could potentially miss out on that offer.
You're right.
And I don't know because I have to be a voice for my clients, right? And if my clients are fence sitting, then I'm fence sitting. I hate doing that. So Our buyers declined the backup the next day, and I'm like, okay, got it, understood. Little frustrating because you'll never find a real estate agent that will drop everything that you're doing, go do a virtual walkthrough, do a background check on the house, negotiate offer terms with the listing agent, and write and send an offer in 3.5 hours. That's a fast turnaround time, dude. Um,
Yeah.
but okay. And so now I'm like, I want to help these people get a house. They have been struggling left, right, and center with all these different houses. It's not always, like I said, like the previous one, they had submitted a good offer, right? At the like asking price plus new roof and new garage, right? So it's not like they're just writing bad offers. It's like sometimes they're getting unlucky with like sticky sellers, right? And so I talked to Grace that morning and I'm like, listen, they don't want to do a backup offer. I don't know why. Let's revisit the house that we submitted a good offer on and the sellers declined, and let's try to renegotiate that. So we go back to that listing agent. It's being sold by an investment company. So he goes up the line to corporate and they get the terms that our buyers wanted. And they said, okay, have them re-sign the contract and send it over and we have a deal for what our buyers wanted, right? Awesome. Send this to the buyers. And they go, oh, we already turned down an opportunity in Brevard, so we're not sure that we're moving to Brevard anymore. So let me talk to the people in Brevard and see if we can like get that going again, and then we can go in on this house. And I'm like, okay, I didn't know that that was the case. I thought you were just moving down here. Like I didn't know that there was another variable tethering you to Brevard that was like an on or off switch. But okay, sounds good. And so then they start to look into it and they're like, oh, while we're looking into this, it's so shitty that the sellers like, played games for us this whole time. And I was like, yeah, well, that's kind of how sales goes, right? Is like you're gonna negotiate back and forth, but we got you what you're looking for, so that's a good thing. And they were like, yeah, but I don't want to work with sellers who are gonna be like this shitty. So we're gonna decline their offer. And I'm like, these are the terms that you wanted. These are the terms that you wanted and that we wrote an offer for and they said no, and then we went back and had them renegotiate. It's not the listing agent's fault, right? He went back and talked to the company and got them to green light. It's like, now we have the terms you want and you don't want to do it because you don't like the sellers? Is that why? I don't understand. I don't understand this at all. Cause like this is the house that you had looked at like a month ago and have been interested in this whole time. It's like, what is it now? Is it this other variable or is that an excuse? Right? Or is that a legitimate reason? And that's why you bailed out of the backup offer this morning and last night. In any case, I don't know. I don't have any of that information, right? And I don't need to know any specifics, right? Like people are totally fine to have their personal lives private. But as an agent, I am going to do everything I can to help you achieve the goal that you set out to. And the goal that you have set for me is go find a house and get our terms. And I'm doing that repeatedly, but every time I get it done, it's stonewalled and I don't understand why. And I am hesitant to stick my neck out if I'm going to do all this work and then you're just going to stonewall me for a reason that I don't understand, right? So I say, okay, so while you figure out this like variable in Brevard thing, are we still house hunting? Like just level with me. And they were like, we have to put a permanent pause on looking for a home in Florida. And I'm like, okay, thank you. Totally understand. At this point, I'm like, we have kind of busted our ass for like a month and a half helping these people find a home. I'm not in it for commission. I'm here to help people. And so I told them, hey, listen, not a problem. As soon as you're ready to look into houses again, let us know. But in the meantime, we have done a lot of effort finding these homes. We have forfeited our time helping other clients to help you guys. It would mean a lot to us if you guys would write us a Google review for the service that we have provided so far. And my offer to cover the $360 transaction fee still applies for a Google review if we end up closing our home together in the future. And they were like, okay, sounds good. Absolutely will do. Didn't write us a Google review. 3 days later, they message us back and they're like, hey, now we're thinking about moving to the West Coast of Florida, which we had talked about like a week and a half ago, right? Now they're actually looking on the West Coast. Okay, send us some homes. We'll figure it out. So they send us a flurry of homes. We start looking into them one by one. A bunch of them don't qualify. Some of them don't accept VA loans, and we're not doing this debacle again, right? Um, there's also a risk that I should note with VA homes, which is if there's a house listed at like, we'll take an example, 500,000, right? And you want to write a compelling, they aren't accepting VA loans because they think it's going to need work done, right? And we make an offer, you and me, for 530, so $30,000 above asking to cover the cost of any of those repairs, right? We go and do an inspection. Turns out they don't need any repairs done, right? So now they just pocketed 30 grand, right? Wrong. Because when an appraiser comes in, if it appraises for $500,000, that means the bank will only give you a loan for $500,000, meaning that you now have to cough up $30,000 cash in addition to your down payment to pay the sellers, or the sellers have to agree to the appraised value of 500 grand. Usually the buyer has to cough up that cash and the deal falls apart. So it's not always the case that offering extra on a VA loan actually works, right? In this particular instance, with the work this house needed, I think it was a fair deal. But this house on the West Coast, they're not accepting VA loans. I'm not negotiating with this one because I can't drive out there and look at the house this afternoon and figure out how much work it needs. We're just going to pass on that one, right? So we're looking at a couple other houses. Grace and I don't have access to that MLS. So like every house they send, we have to text and call a listing agent to get the information. And it has been more challenging than with all the tools we have in Brevard. And we did tell them up front, we were like, hey, listen, our bread and butter is Brevard. We do service all of Florida, but like, you will not get the same level of service on the West Coast as the East Coast because this is where my jam is, right? But finally, after looking at houses for a couple of days, I was at your house doing the oil changes on the cars yesterday when they decided to put an offer in on one. So we wrote the offer. And we were getting ready to send it over last night when Grace was talking to the listing agent. This house is in Sarasota County, and they have slightly different customs over there. In our county, it's customary when you sell your home, you pick the title company. And when you pick the title company, that means you pay the owner's insurance policy and one other liability policy, right? It depends on the size of the home, but for the price we're talking about here, it's roughly $2,000 at close-ish, right? And in Sarasota, it's the reverse. The buyer picks the title company, and therefore the buyer pays for these policies, right? And so we're obviously not going to check any boxes on the contract without talking to our clients. And so we let them know, hey, it's customary over there for this to be the case. And they were like, in all of our years buying real estate, we've never heard of this. And I was like, hey, man, I haven't either, because this is our customs on this side of the coast. But like I said earlier, we're working in a different area. And they were like, okay, we actually used to live one county up, and it's not the customs there. But we did look into it, and it does look like it's the customs in Sarasota. So it's like happenstance, one county over, it's a different policy, which granted is odd, right? But they were like, we want to stick to our policy of seller picks the title company and pays. Okay, cool. Sounds good. Just so you know, it might make other offers more compelling because it follows what they're used to, or we might get a counter offer requesting it, but just putting it on your radar. And they were like, sounds good. So they signed the contract. We're waiting on a pre-approval. Actually, no, we're not waiting on a pre-approval letter. We sent it over anyways, right? So we have officially sent an offer over to a house on the West Coast. And if it gets accepted, then we'll schedule the inspection. But that has been our house hunting process with these people from another state. And they're really nice people. I wish I understood what was going on because like I'm certain that there's a valid reason, but I don't understand that reason. And that makes me putting in a lot of effort not feel appreciated or worth it because it's like I'm doing the work, but then not receiving any of the like progress for it, right? There's no traction. I won the race, but I don't have a medal. Do you know what I mean? And it's not about like commission or closing, but it's about, hey, I thought that you would be excited about me making this opportunity happen for you. And then you decide to not go in on that opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I'm bummed because I want you to be happy. And I think I'm doing things to make you happy, but you're not happy. Like you're not doing it, right?
Yeah.
So that is our first set of clients. We also have an investor client that we have been showing properties on and off to, as I've mentioned. I thought we were at a point where they were like, hey, we have to wait a little while. But out of the blue this week, the same day that the previous clients were like, we're going to put a hold permanently on looking for homes in Florida. Same day, this investor client out of the blue was like, I want to go look at houses this week. And we're like, okay, sounds good. So the showings are on University Boulevard. And you and I went to Florida Tech. So you and I know what that means because we went to school on University Boulevard and we have heard the gunshots and we have heard the stories and we have driven past the U-Mart and we know that area, right?
Pike fraternity right on University, or not right on University.
Around, right?
Yeah.
But as a real estate agent, I cannot steer my clients. So I cannot say anything about whether it's safe or not or anything about the crime ratings. I can't even really talk facts.
You can make a logical assessment once you get in there, though.
But once you're there, you're there.
Right. But like once you're there, or even from like Google Map images, Google Earth images, like you can make a logical assessment.
Yeah. So
It's actually not bad. The if you go like a little bit more inland on University, it starts to break up into smaller neighborhoods that are like better than if you're going towards the river. I know that like you can't make a claim with this, but I'll make the claim that like going towards the river and the train tracks gets like real rough quickly. Going the other direction, like there are actually some decent spots back there.
by Southgate,
No,
by Babcock.
yes, but I'm talking about like if you're um
If
if
you go
if you're
west,
going by where God, what's the like the Olin engineering buildings and stuff, like if you're driving from the Florida Tech, like the campus check-in
Yeah.
and you're going through the campus, like if you keep going through that and then you pass the engineering buildings on your left and you keep going into that neighborhood, like that area ain't bad. Not as
on the other side of Florida Tech.
Yeah, yeah,
On the
yeah.
west side of Florida Tech.
Yes,
This
correct.
is the east side.
Sorry, that's the area I'm
this is
saying
East
like
University.
you can go there and make a
This
logical
is-
assessment.
This
like,
is if
Yeah.
you are parked in the U-Mart parking lot
right.
and you look across University.
Yeah,
That is where we're looking.
that's in need of a Google Earth image
Yes.
analysis prior.
So now I have never been faced with this before where I have good market knowledge by spending a lot of time in the area, but am not legally allowed to share those recommendations. So what do I do? Right. And I was trying to figure out how do I let, because like if this person wants to buy in this neighborhood, cool. I'm game. I'll help you do it. I'll go do the showings with you. Right. I will be armed, but I will be there. Right. But I know my client and I do not think that this would fit
An
the description
investment
for my client for what they want and who they are, right? But again, that's not up for me to decide. It has to be up to them, and I can't share my personal opinion about it, right? And I'm not an investor, so I can't make any investment.
I mean, I would say for situations like this, I would say you could easily do something like, hey, I do this for all of my investor clients. I recommend looking into crime reviews and blah 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 blah. As a real estate agent, I'm not allowed to mention anything about them. So therefore, I can't inform you about the specific areas. But if you're going to send us specific offers for specific locations, I encourage you to just take a brief look at, then you can list 3 sites.
That's exactly
And then
what I
put it on their plate as a, hey, I recommend this to all investor clients because this is an investment property. I'm legally not allowed to say anything but here.
That's exactly what I did.
Okay, great.
Because
Cool.
as an agent, you're allowed to share resources. You cannot share drawn conclusions. So that's exactly what I did. I not only sent a crime report website, but I also sent a website that does an aggregate study of average rent in specific neighborhoods, right? So you can do that like across the country, but it has it broken down for like Melbourne in Brevard of like what is the average rent per bedroom in these different neighborhoods, right? And interestingly, per that the crime website, houses in this neighborhood are renting for 88% lower than the national average. So I would personally, I'm saying to you, not a client, would not invest there because I don't have enough money to buy a house and rent to cover the mortgage, right? My client might be in a different position, totally up to my client, right? But now they have the resources that I gave to them, right? And I have been clear when we schedule showings, a real estate agent has to be there. Like a client can't go to a showing on their own. So I have been very clear. I am only available between the hours of like 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., like peak midday. But those are the only times I can do, right? So like there will be broad daylight when we go do these showings. And actually, one of the houses I did pull up on Google Maps because there were not great photos on the MLS, but in Google Maps, you can see there's like shipping containers and like tents and stuff in the backyard. And it's like around like a big wooded area. And I told Grace, I was like, hey, I would prefer if you do not go to this showing because I do not want to risk anything, right? But again, all of this is insulated from our client. All my clients remain nameless on the podcast, and we shared those resources, right? So they wound up rescheduling last minute, completely like before I even shared the resources. They wound up rescheduling, right? So they rescheduled Tuesday, and then I shared these resources with them Thursday, and we had rescheduled for Thursday afternoon, but they rescheduled again. And I don't think they had seen my resources at that point. It was just like coincidental. But now we are pending scheduling these showings for this next week. So my business update next week will either be eventful or informational. So in any case, we're this was my first time having to navigate this specific situation. And I think Grace and I navigated it really well. Grace is really, really good about the ethics stuff. Um, I'm good about it too, but you know me, I get passionate about things I know well, right? And so Grace keeps me in check. Um, so let's see. My last client that I have stuff listed here for. I've got a couple others that I'm working. One of them is a coworker that is considering selling their house in like the next 6 months. And so I did like an off rip curb appeal CMA for them, but Grace and I are actually going to go through and do like a written CMA to share with them. And actually, I was listening to this podcast, the Tom Ferry podcast, and they brought up this topic of CMA a day, which is where you make like a report of how much your house might be worth for a different person every day and share it with them, which is kind of fun. But this person is a different person, definitely selling their house. We've been in talks for a couple months. This is the older person that's moving to another city. They told us that they had scheduled for this past weekend to have a dumpster dropped in the driveway so that they could clear all the stuff out of the house to get it ready for listing. So I messaged them halfway through the week and I was like, hey, I have my youth. I'm more than happy to use it to help you guys. I've got good knees still. I'll come help like throw all the stuff out in the dumpster, and got no response, which is sad because I would have liked to help them. But I know people that live in the area and they informed me that they hired a company to throw everything out. So I would have been helping the company, not them personally anyways.
Sure.
But in any case, that's my client update for the week, right? I always have to be careful with my client update because I don't want to give away any names or specifics or anything like that.
Yep.
On to my advertising. I did not run Facebook ads this week.
Okay.
And it's because I want to learn more about them. I don't want to just burn $10 a day on an ad that is just going to get me exposure. I'm not at that point right now. The second I make a
Tell
closing,
me about it.
the second I make a closing, every dollar from my commission is going to go into advertising of one form or another. I will not be buying Legos. I will not be buying an LC500. It's all going into advertising.
Good plan.
But I want to review more Facebook before that, right? On a podcast, I learned they said you should take specific people, your database of everybody that you know, and drop them into an ad set and target ads specifically to those people.
Yes.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've been learning this week too with Rank. And you can do it through an email marketing software. For me, in my case, Klaviyo, that has an integration that auto updates based on your clients.
Right. So,
And I bet Facebook CRM would do something very similar.
right. And so I'm now making a list of people that I can target ads specifically to. Everyone I've talked to over the past 3 weeks has been like, hey, I keep seeing you in my social media. You looks like you're doing great. But I would like to target more specific stuff to people that I know. Right. Especially if I like meet someone in passing and I get their name and I friend them on Facebook and then I can target ads to them and they're like, oh, I met this guy the other day. Crazy. I didn't know that he did this kind of stuff. Right.
Yeah.
I also learned that if you have addresses saved in a contact, like I do for a lot of my contacts, you can upload them to Google My Maps, which is essentially Google Maps, but it maps out the addresses of all the people. So I can upload this big list of people into Google Maps and see where do I have the most influence. The most amount of people that I know live in Satellite Beach or Melbourne Beach or Merritt Island, right? So then I can see, oh, which
Yeah.
areas might be best for me to like extra focus on this month and call people in that area to see if I can help them because I know most people in X city, right? So I'm working on that. Um, I have been going through my yearbooks. As I mentioned before, I have 1,300 names. And I'm going through one by one, making sure I have them on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. I met my monthly limit of searches on LinkedIn, which is a lot. I'm at like number 750 right now. So I'm like just over halfway through. But I'm going person by person and then I'm pulling up their contact information in white pages if I can find them. But I'm adding all of that info to my big Excel sheet database, which I can then drop into Facebook for all the names or Google My Maps for all the addresses. So that's coming along nicely. I'm also learning more about Brevard lore, because I kind of want to know. I know about Brevard today, but I'd like to learn more about Brevard history because I would prefer to understand, okay, here is how all the neighborhoods and cities are laid out right now.
Mhm.
Here are the developments that are being built currently, and here's why things are the way that they are, right? So I started watching a couple different YouTubers this week. I found some cool ones that talk about the history of like the compound. Why is the compound the way that it is, right? And what's happening to it in the future. So I started learning about that stuff, which is good. And the last thing I learned about is VA loans because if you'll recall, I competed in and won essay competitions for the Veteran of Foreign Wars Association when I was younger, and I got college scholarships from that, right? The vets have done a lot for me. My grandfather flew helicopters, his helicopters at the Memorial Center in Merritt Island, right? I have deep roots with the vets. I work with a lot of vets at Northrop. Those are people that I'm passionate about and would like to help from a personal level, right?
Yeah.
And I find that I do my best work when I'm personally attached to it, right? And so I started to learn more about VA loans. I ran into a guy this week that was like, hey, I currently have a home with a VA loan. I'm kind of interested in buying a second one. Do you know, like, if I can do that? And I said, I know you can, but I don't know the specifics. Let me learn and get back to you. And I learned about it. Every veteran has entitlement, which is a set number of dollars that the government will back you for your loan, right? And that number usually is $36,000. But banks will let you borrow up to 4 times that amount. So you can get like a $144,000 loan, right? Your total entitlement, though, can cover up to $800,000 of loans from the bank, right? So you, as a veteran, could get an $800,000 home with 0 down payment and no private mortgage insurance, which is a big deal. Additionally, you can do this for any primary residence. So if you buy a home for $300,000 tomorrow and move into it, you can immediately start shopping for a second home and use your remaining $500,000 of government backing to go buy another primary residence, then turn your first one into an investment property. No rules against it. You just have to live in the home when you buy it. So I'm learning more about VA loans, but your entitlement never runs out. It never goes away. So if you pay off your $300,000 home completely, that $300,000 goes back in the pot for you to buy another house if you want. And if it's an investment property and it's paying itself off, you get more entitlement back every day. So it's really powerful. And I would like to share this with vets, which goes back to my life update earlier today to talk about scams. But yeah, that's my business update.
Very nice.
What's your lessons learned this week?
It was a little bit of a weird week because in a way, this week was really it was eye-opening, yet frustrating at the same time. Because logically, to me in my mind, I've always been like, I spend money to get people to click on my site. Why don't I utilize that data and information to then retarget them to new advertisements that might be more compelling? Like, that was always the logical train of thought for me. It's like, you retarget the people you just paid money to get them to click on your site. And if they didn't buy something, you should target a different ad to them because they may like the product. It was just framed in a way that wasn't convincing or informational to them. They just need more information.
Right.
And so it's like, why wouldn't you target a different ad to them? Like, that always made the logical sense to me. And I was always told, oh, well, like, Facebook will figure that out. And it's like, I just have a very low confidence level that that's necessarily true, given the fact that between 95 and 99% of all of my spend over the course of history has been to one ad.
Right.
So, for example, if you saw an ad that was like, hey, Mason, we want you to join our gym for $5.99 a month, and we'll give you a free month to start. You, like, let's say you clicked on it, you'd be like, the fuck is this? Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm bored, right? Click, right? And then you click away, and then it goes away. And then you get a second ad for that same gym, and it says the same thing. You gonna click on that ad?
If I already clicked on it, probably not.
Why would you click on it?
Right.
But then you got a different ad that said, hey, we're doing a free 6-week challenge, blah, 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 blah. You know this routine from Alex and Rosie, right? You might actually click on it and be like, oh, okay, cool. Like, maybe this is actually worth something.
Yeah.
This might be actually fun, right? Because it's a different ad. It's the same company.
Yeah.
On my end, like, it's the same to me. I acquire a sale, right?
Yeah. In real estate, they say it takes something like 7 touch points before you get someone to actually sit down and consider being a client.
So why the heck would I have one touch point, right? One touch point that's
the same,
iterating
touching them in the
same customer.
same place. Yeah.
Why would I do that, right? That always made the logical sense to me. And I was always told, oh, no, you're dumb. Facebook's just super smart. And I'm like, and I've learned that many times before because I've tried to run separate campaigns with the ads I make.
Yeah.
And they compete against my winning campaign, and then they lose out to my winning campaign eventually, and the return on ad spend drops to my new campaign, and I just say, well, I guess Facebook's really smart. And Facebook probably is really smart, and that's probably true to some extent. Now, what I realize now is I was a pretty poor test because I was running 2 super broad audiences in like ads that were probably competing each other, right?
Right.
And then Facebook was seeing that they were competing each other and then just prioritized to the winning campaign in terms of the lead quality,
Right.
right? And so there's a big difference between me running catered funnels to specific audiences based on email marketing campaigns that have shown warm interest and then running different ads that could compel those audiences that I already know are warm. There's a big difference between that, which is what I learned this week, and running cold audiences, broad strokes umbrella campaigns to a mass audience of people and then just banking on an algorithm.
Right.
Those are different, right? And so although I think I had a decent test or a decent set of tests in the past to understand, like, is Facebook's well, essentially my tests in the past were, is Facebook's algorithm actually decent? That was essentially like the extent of those tests.
Right.
And largely I concluded, yeah, I think the algorithm is decent at creating sales.
Right.
Cool. Algorithm is decent at creating sales. I in no way confirmed that it effectively retargets warm audiences with new advertisements in order to generate A, more value per customer, or B, just more customers who are willing to purchase.
Right.
I didn't test those effectively at all. And so I think my biggest one of my bigger lessons learned this week is like stuff can still make logical sense even in the visible absence of that. Like fundamental techniques still apply, right? Like retargeting and giving more information to warm audiences has been a consistent trend since the dawn of sales. That's why you have advertisements and then you have sales reps.
Right.
It's not because they're really different fields. It's because sales are provide more catered, personalized information
To follow up.
to inform you about how this product specifically can help you. And in the same way, ads can do the same thing, right? But banking on an algorithm to do that effectively when there's been no evidence to me that it's doing that, because 95 to 99% of my ad spend goes to one ad with one set of script, right? Like, it's not compelling to me that Facebook does that retargeting effectively.
It's like
Because
Google's
showing the same thing to someone twice doesn't make them more likely to buy or to see how this product can help them.
It's like
right?
if Google's 70-20-10 was 99, 5/10, and 5/10.
Right. And then the 99 wasn't even like, it wasn't because Google's thing of like 70% of what works. They essentially, from what I've gathered from all our research, they take the same ad and then they do stuff like filters or music or try captions or try different fonts, right? It would be like the 70% grew to 99%, and then you did none of the music changes, the caption changes, the anything, like any change. It was the same ad that you just essentially just increased the budget on
Showed
to the
again,
moon,
yeah.
right? Which doesn't make sense to me, right? It makes sense to do 70% of what works, right? Because it's proven of what works. But doing 99% of the singular thing,
Right.
like, and making no changes and essentially putting no inputs into it at all makes no sense to me. And that's essentially what Facebook has done with my advertisements. And so a big lesson for me this week was like, look at these things logically. You can still follow templates and frameworks and structures and learn from other people's lessons and understand how this stuff works, but you don't have to throw logic out the window,
Right.
right? And it's like that was like it was good because I was happy that I kind of came to that road, and now I'm like kind of working on that path. But it was also frustrating a little bit to me because it was like, man, probably a lot of wasted time and effort in these past months.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like two sides of the coin. And I'm not focusing on the frustration because it doesn't help me. But there was like an ounce, like after I was done with the conversation down in Fort Lauderdale, I was like, fuck. I was like, this is like, if you'd asked me day one, what would be a logical way to acquire customers, I'd be like, oh, well, I'd like run a bunch of ads and like test them. And then I would like, try to integrate like, some way to cater new ads to people who have shown interest. Like that would be like a broad stroke, super broad strokes, like day one of like, how does advertising work? That's probably what I'd say.
Right.
And essentially I got that after that conversation of like, that's pretty much what you do. But then I just got a more granular breakdown of it.
Right.
And like, that's great, right? After, 6 months of running ads, I have a more granular breakdown, which is probably a lot quicker than most people who have run paid ads get, right? So that's cool. But at the same time, I was like, bruh, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was a big lesson learned for me this week, and just continuing to evolve and improve step by step. And maybe I'll come back in a month and I'll be like, man, there's something wrong with my retargeting, and like, or like, wow, this is like way different than I thought it was gonna be, or whatever. I don't think that's gonna be the case. Um, just because there's a lot of e-commerce brands that continue to very effectively retarget through email marketing, which is essentially what my plan is. Um, but I'll let the data do the talking. But the thing I learned this week is that if I don't have any data to talk to me, it's really hard to let the data do the talking.
Yeah.
And so kind of just a continuous iteration of, similar ad lessons that I'm just continuing to gain perspective
Yeah.
on. But overall,
I think
that was,
it's better to have an eye-opening week than a week where you're like, I don't fucking know what's going wrong.
yeah, yeah. This week was a lot of like, man, like, y- y- you can use common sense and logic with these things. Like, you're still selling to real people, and running the same ad again and again, and then using that ad as your primary retargeting as well is probably not effective, because saying the same thing to someone 4 or 5 times
Mm-hmm.
probably doesn't make it make more sense to them,
Right.
right? Like, unless the thing is super complicated. But like, the ads I run, including the winning ad, is like at a fifth grade reading level. Like, if I say the same fifth grade reading level sentence to you 6 times, like, you probably would have gotten it by the first or second time. I only need to say it 4 more times,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so, like, that's essentially what I've noted in my ad account.
Gotcha.
But that is my biggest lesson this week. Common sense and logic still does apply in 2025. To wrap up.
We knew.
But what do you got?
I have one. In May, when people would ask me how real estate was going, I would say, "Oh, it's really awesome. We've got a client right now who's like under contract and things are going swell." In June and July and most of August, in June and July, if you'd asked me how real estate is going, I would say, "It's good. I have the skills. I just don't I have to find more people that need help." And in the last month, when people ask me how real estate is going, my answer has been, I feel as though I'm absolutely crushing it and giving top quality service and seeing no results,
Mm-hmm.
which means, granted, the problem I still have, my biggest constraint in my business is leads. I just need more people, right? Because the people that we are serving, we are crushing, right?
Right.
We are finding them properties that work well. We are defining advertising strategies for listings. We are negotiating offers on their behalf and getting exactly what they're asking for, right? And we do not have any houses under contract.
Yeah.
And so the lesson that I learned this week is that sometimes you can do everything right and just still not see success. Like, so far, I have not misstepped with any of the clients that we currently have. We have only crushed it, and we have like achieved the target of presenting the opportunity, and then the client has decided to not go through with it, right?
Yeah.
And rather than getting discouraged by that, instead I'm just saying, you know what? It's just giving me more opportunities to crush it. It's just giving me more opportunities to overcome a challenge and then execute properly,
Yeah.
right? And like, clients are going to change their mind on things. That's just how it goes, right? There's going to be outside variables that influence them, and that's okay. And I'm not always going to understand that. That's fine too. But I have more with every new house that we're looking into. It's another opportunity for me to do a deep background check, learn more about like what real estate is like in that area, and then negotiate with listing agents, right? So, yeah, that was my life lesson this week: is you can do everything right and still not see success.
Yeah.
Uh,
Actually, I thought of one more too.
mhm.
I'll add real quick while we have a few minutes left. Um,
Roughly 2 minutes left.
yeah, 2 minutes. I'll make it quick. But I spent some time. So networking, I've never really been a huge fan of networking, because I find that, like, you know, making each other feel good about like the spot we're at and the suffering we're facing is like not really productive, right? Like, I want someone who's like, like, okay, like, I've solved this thing but I haven't solved this thing, or like whatever. Like, I like more of that. And I find that, like, a lot of the networking I've tried to do in the past, or at least the conversations I've had, have been like, oh yeah, I'm at a similar spot, I don't know what to do, and I'm like, okay, cool, thanks, right? So it's like that's kind of been my framework. But I met some of those people at the event, but I utilized the time to go up to families that I saw, as well as kind of like the grandparents there, or the older parents there, and be like, hey, what are your main concerns if you were raising kids right now, or like maybe some of those families had young kids? And I'm like, what are your main concerns as a parent or a grandparent today? What are you looking to kind of leave, or like pass on to them, right? And like impact them with, like, what is that, right? And I found that really cool experience because I was able to kind of bring together, like, is it a legacy side of things that you look for? Is it an educational thing? Are screen-free aspects important to you? And kind of aligning that with the online research I've done, but like with in-person conversations. And what I realized through that conversation, which was really valuable to me, is I've always had, for a long time, I've had a reservation of like, oh, I don't know if I should create the ads myself, right? Because I have like, I could make a compelling ad, I think, just because I have a framework in my head, and then that from my head can just be iterated out for me, and I could just videotape myself walking through different parts of the product or whatever, right? But for a long time, I was like, no grandparent's going to want to buy from some 24-year-old selling kids toys. Out of all of the people I talked to, not a single person asked me, "Why are you selling kids' toys?" Not a single one. No one cares. No one cares. They're happy that I'm doing it. They think the product's cool. They like it. No one's like, "Oh, you're a 24-year-old. Why are you doing this?" Not a single person there. And so then I realized, I was like, "Oh, like, it would at least be worth a test. It would at least be worth a shot," because it's like, if my internal mind thinks that, like, what, who cares what I think internally? Like, if I'm, if I can show this product and give good information and value and hook the customer in to actually, like, sit through an ad with me in it, and like they find me compelling and cool, like, and they don't care that I'm 24, why would I care that I'm 24? Right? And so that was kind of an interesting breakthrough of like, I think like my mental barriers are like part of my obstacle that I continue to break down, right? Like, just go for it. Like, you don't have to sit with the, if your CBO strategy campaign is not working for you because it's clearly not retargeting effectively, you don't have to consistently sit with it and then just hope the algorithm works for you one day.
Right.
Right? Like, you can do something about it and you can try shit. So like, breaking down that mental barrier with common sense and logic, I think, has been a valuable aspect this week. But that's all I got.
All right.
Cool.
I have a dial-in quote.
Sweet.
It kind of pertains to my life lesson, but
Yeah. Right on time.
it's just impatient with inputs and patient with outputs. So it's, I'm currently crushing it with every client that I have, and I'm not seeing outputs, but that's okay.
You'll get it. You're
I
good.
have to keep doing inputs. Yep.
Yep. You'll get it.
So that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed the podcast, and we will see you for another next week.